Eastern Illinois head coach Chris Wilkerson. The Panthers wrap up the season at nationally ranked now UT Martin, number 25. That is Saturday. So, Coach, just some thoughts on your team and coming off your game with another nationally ranked opponent last week, Southeast Missouri.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Kyle. Certainly last week was pleased with the guys' preparation and pleased with their effort. The conditions were interesting, to say the least. We had some snow come through Charleston Friday night into Saturday morning, and the administration, the facilities people did a phenomenal job just getting the surface cleared completely and ready. But it was cold and windy, and again, the guys gave great effort. First quarter was scoreless. Our special teams again continue to give us an opportunity to compete. We were able to block a punt, and unfortunately, we weren't able to advance it. Settled for a long field goal attempt. It was Stone's first miss of the year. We later in the quarter were able to punt the ball back to them and gain another possession, and then we were able to punch that in. So we had a 7-0 lead. And again, like I said, the special teams gave us a chance at least to compete. And unfortunately, we just couldn't make as many plays as we need to in critical situations. They kept fighting to the very, very, very end, but too many mistakes, certainly in the second quarter with a couple turnovers and our third down defense and tackling wasn't where we'd like it to be. It was improved from the week before, but not where we'd like it to be. So ended up on the short end of a stick. Very good SEMO football team. Tip of the hat to them. And certainly it's not going to get any easier this week as we go on the road to play another very, very talented football team in UT Martin. So
you kind of end with the two top teams in the league at the very back of the schedule. What do you see then out of Martin? Obviously, they're the defending champions and have put themselves in that position again this year.
Yep. Very, very, very well coached football team, very talented football team, old football team, also big and physical and fast. So when we watch the videotape, obviously offensively, they get a lot of publicity, and rightfully so. They're averaging over 35 points a game. Heck, they put up 24 points on then third ranked University of Tennessee in Knoxville. They have scored the football and moved the football up and down the field on everybody they've played this year, certainly led by, I think, their quarterback, Dresser Wynn, older, more mature player, been in their program. Their tailback, Zach Wallace, 15 touchdowns, almost 1,000 yards rushing, another extremely talented player. Again, I think the wide receiver, Dowell, is as good as anybody in the league. 1,000 yards. I think he'll be a guy that'll have a chance to play on Sundays. Their tight end leads the league in touchdown catches for tight ends, 6 touchdown catches. Their offensive line is extremely big and physical and mobile. They know exactly what they're doing. They're very, very well coached. Number of skill guys and a very well coached football team. So huge challenge for Coach Gristic and our defensive staff. And then on defense, they are just as talented and physical and big and long and fast. Again, the numbers are a little bit skewed. Certainly having to play the University of Tennessee at Knoxville and having to play Boise with the 2 FBS schools, but. Dalen Dotson, one of their sophomore defensive linemen, is having a phenomenal year for them. He leads their team in tackles for loss and sacks. They're big and physical up front. Their linebackers all run and hit. I believe that Ford is a candidate to be defensive player of the year in our conference, and certainly a guy that I think will play on Sundays. They've got 2 first-team all OVC or 2 all-league players in their secondary. I tell you what, they are not afraid to play bump and run man-to-man and load the box and stop the run. So again, I think they know exactly what they want to do. And then to top matters off, again, we've been pretty productive on special teams this year. But these guys are excellent on special teams. Their punter actually does lead the league in punting. Trey's been really good for us all year, and their guy has done a phenomenal job, and they've got great return people, and they play real hard, and they're very well coached. So it's going to be a tremendous challenge for us. But looking forward to the opportunity to just continue to get better every single day.
Dan's first question, he said with Dom getting hurt and 2 freshmen got looks afterwards, what's your outlook for quarterback this weekend?
Yeah, so we practice again this afternoon, and right now Dom, I think, would still be healthy enough and available to be our quarterback this Saturday. After that, it's still a little bit day to day and to be determined. So we're going to go out and practice and compete. Jonah O'Brien's status is still a little bit to be determined, but right now, again, going out to practice this afternoon, Dom Schaffner would be our starting quarterback.
And the conditions, you said, were not very good for obviously this past weekend. Martin has, I believe it's 15 interceptions this year. And you mentioned their defense. That's probably got to be something that's concerning a team that has that many interceptions on the year.
There's no question. It's been, one of the things that we have struggled with is still our inability to not turn the football over. Whether it's the fumbles that we've lost or the interceptions that we have thrown. And it was no different Saturday. We give ourselves a chance and we're up 7-0, or it's 0-0 after a quarter and we're up 7-0. And then we have 2 interceptions in the second quarter. It puts our defense out there on a short field. And the next thing you know, hey, it's boom. They had gone down and make it 7-7, and there's a turnover. It's 14-7. There's a turnover. It's 21-7. And that puts us a little bit behind right now in terms of where we're at offensively. So we've got to take better care of the football. And we know that Martin is a very, very physical, fast, well-coached defense, but also very opportunistic.
The other question was, with one game left in the season, what specific areas of your team need to be improved the most heading into next season?
Yeah, we talked quite a bit on Sunday with our players. And the one thing that we know that we have got to do this offseason is we have got to get bigger and we have got to get stronger. I thought that, again, walking out to the field and then obviously haven't seen them on videotape, and then playing against Coach Tuke and his group last Saturday, they look how I'd like to look as a football team. And certainly Coach Simpson has been here, obviously the dean of the OVC coaches, the defending champions, put themselves in a situation where they play for another championship on the last Saturday of the season. They also look like we would like to look at Eastern Illinois. But those guys are big and strong and physical and fast, and we've got to, for sure, get bigger and stronger. That's just something that we've got to emphasize tremendously this offseason.
And this is your first year. Obviously, Tuke has been there 17 years and Jason's 10 and Jason's 17. So obviously it takes time, right? But the small steps to start that process. Is that what you're saying?
It does. Certainly you want to be successful and you want the players to be successful right away. But, I did have a conversation with Coach Tuke before the game, and he did talk about, hey, it took him 5 years before he had a winning season at SEMO. And he has built that program in his words and in their team's motto, brick by brick. And I think they are now established themselves in terms of what they would like to look like, and their coaching identity and their physical identity in terms of how they play. And I believe that Coach Simpson and his staff are very, very similar. Again, extremely well coached. They have an exact philosophy in terms of what they're looking for in recruiting and player development, and they play to those guys' strengths. And so it's going to be a tremendous challenge for us, but they certainly have obviously set the standard for what the rest of the league, I think, aspires to be.
Well, Coach, thanks for your time all year, and best of luck to your team in this final game on Saturday.
Thanks again, Kyle. Thanks for having us.